right? I'm gonna make it a little. All right, everyone, welcome to class. Thank you all for being here. I hope you grabbed some hot cocoa and ice cream sandwich. And Owen is going to share with us his kind of process for Morpholio Trace on the iPad, which you all have in your studio. Maybe you have one of your own. So follow along if you want to. It should be pretty fun and exciting. Thanks, Owen.
Hopefully it's on. Okay, so first off, any questions, just stop me mid whatever and I'll try and answer it. So this is basically, I'm not going to be doing a step-by-step tutorial. That might take a little long. I'm just going to kind of go through and show you what can be done, and then you guys can take that. I mean, there's unlimited tutorials online. There's unlimited tips. My wife just walked in. So. Anyways, there's unlimited tips and tutorials online. So the first thing that we're going to do is just kind of go through the interface. If you have an iPad and it's on Morpholio right now, go to the settings. That's what we're going to do first. So settings is right here. So that's what it looks like when you come in. Settings is in this top corner, top left corner. Then you're going to go down to settings and you need to check these boxes. So pencil only drawing is a yes and one finger pan is a yes. Okay. That way you're not drawing with your finger or your hand on accident. So I like to keep my default layer a little brown, a little yellow. I kind of like the aesthetic. That might not be for everybody. You can do white, black, etc. That's all we're gonna do for now. Okay, so one really cool thing about Morpholio that few people know is that you can zoom into a map of anywhere on Earth and start your project to scale from there. So if we wanted to find the art park, let's see if we can find it. We all love the art park, right? Oh, yeah. There it is. So you just zoom in. It starts you automatically there, and it will be to scale. So with this little ruler, we can measure how many feet everything is to scale. So as you can see, it's about 250 feet across. So that's a really cool function. It works better for bigger spaces and conceptual stuff because it's really bad graphics. Like it's really bad output, export. So that's one really cool function. I am going to just take you through my little process, how I make a final schematic graphic, okay? There's tons of concept stuff. There's tons of capabilities as far as that, because this is literally like trace paper if you use it. This is the design that me and Dallin just did for Carlos's class. So as you can see, we kind of started small with this, you know, shapes, rough shapes. Then we added another layer. It's not done, Carlos, don't worry. And then, you know, we keep adding layers and layers until, you know, your concept finally shines through. That's a really awesome capability of Morpholio, just the conceptual, all that stuff. Something really cool with concepts is if you had, let's say you have a building over here and you want to move or duplicate that building, you just use this select tool up here. Select it, you can make another one. You can flip it, you can do whatever you want, make another one, or just move the existing ones you have. So it's a hand drawing that can be manipulated in any way you want. It's up in the top left over here. Right there. You see it up in that top left corner? I do need a clicker, huh? There's a laser on it. That's okay. I'll just draw them on screen. I can see if I can pick one. So that's the select tool. Okay, you can do so many things with the select tool. This goes without saying, but it's like this is like doing pen drawings and you can erase. So that alone is green button. Yeah. Awesome, man. Yeah. So Suck Tools, awesome. Okay, we're gonna go and just start a new little schematic drawing. Okay, so over here on this side is your whole tool set. Okay, so when you click on a pencil or a pen, there's all these tools that are there. I normally use this pen that's selected. It kind of has a hand-drawn feel to it, bigger at the ends, and how fast you go determines how small it gets. This is a technical pen, so it always stays the exact same size. I usually use the hand-drawn one because that's why we're hand drawing, so it looks hand-drawn. Eraser, obviously, bigger markers, pencil, and other markers I just don't use. Just use a pen. That's pretty much all you'll use. This tool is also really cool. We'll get more into it, but it just draws organic shapes and fills them in automatically. Well, I'll show you how you can apply that. Okay, now when you go to click this little line thing, I'm probably gonna lose somebody on this one. But this little line thing, there's different line types you can draw in. So there's dashed lines, dotted lines. For the boundary, I'm gonna use a thick line like that, okay? So now I want you to click the ruler. As I'm giving this presentation, I realize how complex this is. So I'm sorry, but you click the ruler, click this little settings thing and make sure it's at 45 or 90. Okay. Up here, the settings. Up there.
Like how the ruler's adjusted?
Yep, so that's how your line goes. So you don't actually need your ruler in the place where you draw. So I can just draw in exactly straight lines wherever I want. But that's so you don't need to move the ruler to where you want. You just need to move these settings right here. So if you want any straight line anywhere, you just click the infinity and then you can do a straight line and move it to wherever you want. So that's really good for everything, you know? So I would keep it at 45 or 90, depending. So if you move your ruler, that does affect how it goes. So if I move it to a 30-degree angle, it will be from a 40 or a 90 from that 30-degree angle of where it's at. So now it's at a 30-degree angle that way, and that way. Okay. So you can do a lot of cool stuff with the ruler. Something that's similar to the ruler is this. And you can manipulate the angle. So you can manipulate the angle to make, right angles and separate things. I don't really use that one that much. And then there's also the, whatever this is called.
Can you type in the?
Yes, you can. So with that, you just type up here. I'm going to draw it 10 feet and it comes in at 10 feet. Okay. So there you go. Now it's at 10 feet, but I'm not to scale on my drawing. So it's doing 10 feet in real life. And this little thing, I think, is 11 by 17. So that's another cool thing about Morpholio is the scaling capabilities. Okay. So I'm going to draw the side of my property now with the ruler. Let's say the side of my property is 100 feet. Oh, hold up. Let me do that. It's right there. So that's the dimension thing. That's how you set your scale. So you click that, move these little crosshairs to whatever side you know the length of. Then you type in 50, or what do we say, 100? Let's do 100. Now it's at 100 feet. You go back to your ruler. Oops. Go back to your ruler, and it's 100 feet. Okay, so that's how you set it to scale. So then when you have a protractor, whatever it is, you type 100 feet, it'll be at a size you can actually use.
In the world for the drawing.
Exactly. Also with iPads, I don't know how complex or how advanced everyone is with this. Double tap is usually undo. So I undid that. Triple tap with 3 fingers. So I mean by double tap, I mean double finger tap.
Single tap with 2 fingers.
Single tap with 2 fingers, okay? That's undo. Now a single tap with 3 fingers is redo. So it makes for really, really fast transition, you know. Also, yeah, question.
Did you make that setting or is it?
I think that's in the Apple settings, right? So with Apple in settings, there's Apple Pen section. And if you go there, you can adjust the gestures and all that. So for example, if you watch this left side, if I double tap my pen, it automatically switches to an eraser.
The studio pens on that.
It might just be these pens, but it's really easy to switch by hand. But I mean, with these pens, there's all kind of gestures you can set. I think there's even like a 5-finger tap. Oh no, 4. Yeah, 4-finger tap gets rid of everything. 4-finger tap brings it back. 5-finger tap calls your mom in an emergency. So, any questions so far? I realize it's a lot. Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not familiar with all that, actually, but like on my laptop, I have one of the smart pens, and I can change like the width of the line and the pressure.
Yep.
Does this react to that too?
So Morpholio, not really. This is the second part of my presentation is going to be Procreate, and I'm just going to be very introductory because I think Morpholio is awesome, but it's not complete without Procreate. And so Procreate, you can have all these brushes. You can, there's millions of brushes online you can download, and they're all free and whatever. Yes, I'll get to that in just a second. Also, I do know some apps that are really cool for PC, you know, tablets, PC tablets, the giant drawing tablets, you know. I don't know PC stuff, but I do have some cool stuff. Honestly, I can talk about this stuff for probably 5 hours. So, okay, we're gonna get back to this little rendering. So with that drawn, I'm gonna switch back to a normal line weight. And let's draw some hardscape. I realize these are really big paths. That's not important right now. So there's our hardscape, that easy. Let me get into this too. If you want to do curvilinear stuff, there's this really cool thing called smoothing that they just put into Morpholio. So if you turn your smoothing up, then you can make really fluid shapes. So if you want a curved path, you do you. I don't really like those curved designs. I like the straight lines. So smoothing is really, really helpful though. Right here, sorry. Right there. Click on that. That'll be your smoothing and your opacity. If you just do this little line, that's just opacity. You feel me? Cool. So there's our hardscape. Now I'm gonna blow all your minds with stencils. Okay. So in this up here, this little button. Offset? No. You can do it manually. It's like drawing. There's no commands like AutoCAD per se. This is completely hand drawn. But if you're accurate, you can, you know, do all that offset stuff. I mean, you could literally get into the feet and inches if you want and just offset it by like that, you know, and it's not gonna make a big difference because it's just a schematic drawing, right? Okay, so up here, right there, are the stencils. Okay, so I want you to click on that if you have an iPad. Okay, I just got this off the internet. This little stencil, all the wording you could ever want, numbers, etc. But then you click this, and it brings up a whole library of stencils that you can use. Okay. Okay, so like patterns, if you want a pattern stencil, you can do that. And then you can click this fill button and it fills it. Okay. So for our little tutorial, I'm going to use some trees. So the trees, let's just use like this tree right there. That's a stencil that's in the Morpholio app. All I do to put it down is click that button right there. And it's done. Question?
Is there like a magic wand tool so you can like just select the shape?
Yes, I'll get to that. Okay, so that's one set of trees. Something really, really cool about it is you can import almost anything and turn it into a stencil. So for example, these are stencils I previously drew in Morpholio, exported, and then imported them again as a stencil. So I'm gonna do a couple of these for the sake of our little thing here.
But these are not to scale, right?
No, because we're 100 feet, right? So these are huge trees. These are huge, huge trees.
You have to know what size you draw.
Yes. Also, usually make a new layer. That's a bad habit to not make a new layer. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Okay, then I usually go back and erase it so that they kind of meld together. This is just my graphic style. So what?
Modify the size.
Yes, yes. So yeah, you can move it down, up, you can zoom in. You can also lock the size and the rotation so you can't move it. And so everything you put down is going to be the exactly same size and the same rotation, or you can unlock rotation and it'll be the same size, but you can rotate it any way you want. Flip it, unflip it. You can do the inverse. So, I mean, anything you really want to do, there's so many possibilities.
Question.
Yes.
So when you do the fill bucket and there's multiple stencils on one,
Uh-huh.
it fills all of them.
Yeah, so yeah, like with my alphabet, right? So if I was to choose, oops. If I was to fill that, it fills everything. So what you can do is you can just grab a big marker and mark the one that you want. You feel me? That's how I do some of my lettering. I mean,
With fabric setting.
yeah, so if you wanted to label that a tree, you would just draw really carefully the TR, obviously. Okay. My back, good. Okay, so I'm gonna blur your minds even more with the stencil. Okay, let's say all these stencils that I've already imported, I don't really like. How do you make a new one? Just look up online, architecture, tree symbol plan. Take a screenshot even, press this, go to your library. And then you can literally make a stencil from anything. So let's say I want this little tree right there. Then you can change how much it gives or takes. See, there's the watermark even. That so you can literally take the watermark off of stuff. Just say done, and then there's your stencil for you to use.
Yes. See me.
This is a stencil I made a bit ago. So I mean, you can literally create anything with these stencils. They are really, really cool. Like these trees right here. I mean, so the possibilities of these stencils are absolutely endless. You can do anything. And if you wanted to color in half of this green, if you want to color in half green and half a darker green, and then the trunk brown, you could. Okay. So it really opens up possibilities. Any questions so far? Anything? Yeah.
Is there a way to like start a Morpholio on Photoshop?
Yeah. Funny you ask. So right here, you can export it as a PSD. And it'll have all your layers imported directly to Photoshop.
Okay.
So I wouldn't recommend that. It kind of gives off a lower quality. So if it's for conceptual stuff, fine. But if it's for schematic, I would really suggest doing PDF at best quality. And then from that, you can make it into a transparent PDF. So it only shows your line work. And then you export that from Photoshop as a PNG, and then you can just color right underneath it. So it's amazing. Yeah.
So when you're talking about your workflow,
Yeah.
do you mostly make schematics now in Morpholio, or are you
Yeah.
using AutoCAD like instead of AutoCAD?
Oh, so usually there's an AutoCAD associated with each project, right? Like in a group project, someone will always make a CAD. And so then you can directly import the PDF of CAD into here, scale it in an instant, and then I just draw over it.
Yeah.
And it usually takes me a while to get my line weights right and all that. But once that's done, it's probably 10 minutes. So I have the whole thing drawn in Morpholio to my graphic style.
Yeah, so can you talk for a second about the line weights? Like, do you have certain ones that you like?
Yeah, so this is really cool about Morpholio. The more you zoom in, it'll suggest your line weights for you. So see how it's green right here? It's green all the way to blue. As the darker it gets, the bigger it gets. So if you'll watch that side of the screen while I zoom out, see, it suggests your line weights for you, depending on how zoomed in you are. So that's a good way to choose your line weights. See, if I even zoom out a little, it'll suggest a different line weight for me. And so then you can just, I mean, these are the same across every drawing. And so you'll kind of over time figure out which one you like for what things. So, but it varies on the scale of the drawing always, right? So if it's 1,000-foot property, you're going to use bigger line weights just so they show up.
How do you, let's say that you want to make that drawing to a big scale, right?
Yeah, so here, I'll show you that.
Right now, it's kind of a manual scale.
Yeah, so as you open it, so if you open it at the very beginning, you pick custom, then you can, I mean, there's all these things to choose from, but I usually use blank. And then here's your scales right here. Or no, that's your paper size. So let's do 11 by 17, and then there's your scales. So you have 1/8 inch, whatever, you know, you have engineering metric, all the scales you could ever ask for as you start the drawing. So
Okay, so you need to set that up.
you can set that up before. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions?
Which way your shape where the line is different from the fill, like in Photoshop, and you can change the fill in the line. Do you do anything like that?
Fill in the line. Like, are you talking about like the stroke?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't found anything in here that's like that. In Procreate, there is though. Procreate, you can do stuff like that.
Can you like change the layers? Like let's say you draw something one, but you were like, oh wait, I want it underneath.
Yeah, this is pretty advanced stuff. It took me a while to learn this. Okay, so let's say I draw something. Also, this is really important to know. It's gonna be like trace paper unless you double tap a layer. Okay, it'll always draw on the top layer unless you select the bottom layer. Okay, so by double tapping, it's selected yellow. You see that on that side? So if you want to just draw on the top layer, like trace paper, that's fine. But if you want to draw on a bottom layer, double tap it. So let's say I have a tree here. I don't like that tree. Let's say I have a tree here that I've drawn on a different layer and it's brown. Now it's black. It's drawn on a different layer. Also, you can change the opacity of the papers and stuff. So that's on the bottom layer, okay? Now to move that from that bottom layer to the top layer, you just keep that layer selected, use the select tool, drag it, and then double tap the top. And it moves it to the top. So that took me a long time to figure out because I drew the wrong thing on a couple layers one time and I was screwed. So I found it deep in the FAQ of Morpholio. Now you don't have to go look. Anyways, I don't like that tree either. So any other questions for now? I'm just gonna kind of keep going. Questions, anybody? Okay, so let's say there's some bushes there. You guys get the idea, right? Does he question, maybe? Okay, so that's pretty much done. You can turn off the paper opacity to see what we're really working with here. It's kind of messy, but you guys get it. Yeah, I think that looks good for now. A really, really cool tool is what I showed you guys before, this one. So you can make random shapes with it. The way I use this is I make a new layer, I grab this tool, do all black.
What tool that is.
Oh, right. This roller brush right here. Really, really cool. So after you've chosen that, I usually pick a tree like this, just draw a circle around it, and there's your shadow for the tree. Okay. Now to get it to the other trees without having to draw it again, just select it, move it over, and now you have all your shadows for the trees. Erase that. Voila, there's all your shadows for the trees. Now you just turn down the opacity a little bit. There's your shadows. That's a really cool tool. Now here's a really, really cool tool. Let's do this. So I'm going to just draw a line around here. This is the automatic hatcher. So you can automatically hatch things with ease by clicking this button right here. Oh, okay. You see that one? So to automatically hatch, you just click it, it brings up a crosshair and it automatically hatches everything. You can choose what hatch it is. So let's say, what's that? Let's say that's gravel, okay? You can make it smaller. You can make it more opaque or less opaque. You can change the color of anything that you put in with the automatic hatch filler. And you can also invert that too. So for some reason my line work's not that good, but you can also turn up the sensitivity, right? It's filling everything, so I'm not gonna worry about it. So then you just press that and it's filled.
It's because it's in a different layer, that's why it's.
Oh, you're right, you're right. Carlos knows. Anyways, you get the idea. But you can automatically hatch anything you want. Yeah, with better line work, it would actually do it. So that's really, really cool. Obviously, you can do your own hatches. That's what I kind of like to do. Morpholio really lets you get the hand-drawn feel out of it. And it helps with your hand graphics, right? Like Photoshop, usually you're not getting any better at hand graphics. This, you definitely are. Anyways, after all this is done, you can, after your line work's done, you can render it in Morpholio. I really don't like their markers. They're just weird. And I don't like their watercolor. All their brushes are just a little weird. Hopefully they'll put newer brushes in eventually. But what I usually like to do is grab a layer, move it all the way down to the bottom, and then use this roller brush again. And then it lets you really just draw super, super fast renderings. So that's obviously with shapes. Yeah, question?
Is there a way to do like masking?
Masking, there's not in Morpholio. Procreate, there is. Cool. Questions? Was that your question?
I was just gonna say that's cool.
Thanks. But yeah, you can literally do all kinds of stuff. Okay. Now this is where I'm gonna flex a little bit and show you some past work that I've done. So literally yesterday in class, I drew this with the ruler. It just lets you draw so fast. And that roller brush lets you draw color insanely fast. I'm sure there's a lot of features that I'm overseeing right now. This is a really, really cool feature. It has 3D capabilities, Morpholio. So if you guys remember, this is that one Chinese 3D model we did in Rhino. This is gonna take a minute to load, but you can import your 3D model into Rhino. Is it loaded? From Rhino, sorry. You can import it into Morpholio from Rhino. And then if you zoom out, you can literally look at the entire site within Morpholio. And then you find a view you like, you press the check mark, and it creates a whole new view for you. And then you can go and draw on that view. So really, really cool. Yeah, question.
Can you also do it with sketch models?
Yeah, it's every 3D model. Yep. It just has to be in a certain file format. I'm not sure which one.
So with that, because it doesn't do the masking, like say you were gonna color all of that hillside green, it wouldn't put the shadows on there for you. you have to go.
Right.
It's not like that's, right? So you
Right.
can choose dark green to make your shadows.
Yeah, if I was gonna do something like that, I would use Procreate. So I might do my line work in Morpholio. That's really all I do in Morpholio most of the time is line work because it's just so intuitive the way it works and all of that. So this rendering I did completely in Morpholio using only the roller brush and the pen. Okay, so I mean, there's some really, really cool stuff that you can do with the pen and the colors and all this stuff. For example, see, that's just one I just drew on really, really fast. But the 3D stuff is really cool. For example, with this brush, I think what I did is you just go like that really fast. And it kind of creates this grass feel, you know? So the roller brush is one of my favorite. Any question about Morpholio? Anything else? I'm about to be done with Morpholio and move on to other stuff. Cool. So like I said, Morpholio is incomplete without Procreate. And Oli always says it's like the worst named app ever, which I kind of agree. So here's like a mock of line work that I would make in Morpholio. Okay, can you see it? Good. You know, it's you can still read how it is, but if you want to add color, I would really recommend Procreate. This right here is all my brushes that I've imported. There's about 1 million in each thing. This is my architecture brush set right here. I'll put my email up later and I can send them to whoever wants them along with my color palettes. I'll make a big care package on it eventually. But I usually use this marker to color just because it's so nice. And this is my color palette right here. So I usually, there we go. I usually just draw really, really light. And it's just, these brushes are so much better looking than the ones in Morpholio. And so with pressure, you can literally make the color fade as is. And that makes for really simple, nice looking renderings. As far as textures, I honestly, once I bring all my textures from Photoshop to Procreate, I probably will never touch Photoshop again. And that's because of these. So these are textures that I just downloaded online, and they're really, really easy to use. You can just color that and it's instant water, okay? Or you can color instant wood. So that's a good way to get textures on there. For example, Procreate is going to be a whole nother day. If you have any questions, just always come to my desk because I'm always there. And I always help. But with this select tool, you can just tap and select really intricate things. And then like with the water marble brush, you can just fill that and you're done. So eventually I want to transfer completely from Photoshop to Procreate. There's just some really awesome stuff there. So how much longer do I have? Because I could go forever. Yeah, question.
Just had a quick question for this section. Say you were trying to make that wood and the panels, it seems to be super large. Is there a way for you to scale it down?
Yeah, depends on the brush. So with each brush, you can go in and there's literally a million things you can fix about it. So you could take some of the brush off the web, the interweb, and make it exactly how you want. You know, you can turn off the jitter, you can turn off the size change or turn it on. You can scale it down, scale it up, however you want to do it. Oh wow, this is the 3D aspect of Procreate, which we probably won't get into right now. But anyways, yeah, you can do almost everything with Procreate. This is how you do masks, I think. I've never really used them. You can do mask. Yeah, there's your mask. Like, I honestly don't even know how to use a mask, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, you can mask in Procreate. You can do all kinds of stuff. It's amazing. So Morpholio is $20 a year, I think, subscription, and Procreate's $10 once. Procreate's like the standard across graphic design, architecture, all kinds of stuff. Let's see if I can find some of my work. This was done completely in Procreate. So a lot of people, I know Hazen doesn't use Morpholio whatsoever. He somehow scales his drawings by importing pictures of rulers, like actual PNGs of rulers, and using a grid system on his on Procreate. That's possible. Morpholio is just so much easier. So I always do my line work and scale in Morpholio, color render, and the fancy stuff in Procreate.
So how did you do like the lighting?
So that, I think you just get this color. Let's see, oh, that's still wood. I think you just get that color, draw a circle or something, fill it, and then actually let's make that on a different layer so I don't screw something up. Oh, that's the maximum of 9 layers because this is such a big drawing. I want that layer. So you just draw a circle, fill it. Let's see, Gaussian blur probably, something like that. So you have a bunch of Photoshop capabilities in this, nowhere near Photoshop, but how much do you really need, right?
Truth.
So, yep. This was color rendered in Procreate, drawn in Morpholio. This is probably one of the biggest scale drawings I've ever done. But line work all done in Morpholio, then color rendered in Procreate again. Any questions? Anything at all?
How did you put the shadows in that one perspective? Because they look super specific to the trees. Like, did you just eyeball that? Or how did you-
Yeah. I just eyeballed it.
It's just good.
If you have the undo button, you can make a lot more mistakes. You feel me? So when you do have the undo button and you have the eraser, you can always erase pen. It makes for a lot of redos, but it also makes for a lot of learning experiences where you learn form and color. Like I'm gonna show you guys some of my worst sketches right here. So like this is my house one day. And I was just trying to figure out the form, right? Like where do things disappear? What can I see? Where do you think, where are the lines of force? And that's the cool thing about iPads. You can just do that on the bus. You can do that on a plane. You can do it anywhere in your house. We're usually watching TV and I'm just like, drawing. So that's what I love about it. But yep, for you PC people out there, this is a really, really cool app. It's called Concepts. Okay. Basically what it is an unlimited drawing canvas. You can go 1,000 miles one way and 1,000 miles the other way, but it draws completely in vector. So anything you draw will never lose its resolution. So I have not played with this that much, but anything you draw is perfect all the way down to the very pixel. And you can export it as a PDF. It's on, like I said, it's on PC. You can draw to scale. You can draw straight lines. A lot of people do their full scale schematic master plans in this app. I just don't know it that well. It's called Concepts. This is what it looks like right there.